Well, whether you are working in a government agency or in a private company, you know how it is in society. Well, public items like these shouldn't just be taken and used for yourself. Don't understand. Buddhist. I got close to deity at Yubin Nanlao residence in Taichung. That's where the worship officer is based. He was the secretary. He reports. Surname Lin, for personal letters. You must report to the worship officer. My surname is Lin, and sometimes I need to use it for personal letters as well. That time-sharing line is so chatty. Isn't it always like that? Why do you have to say those few words every time you come? If you agree to what I said, I will not violate the precepts of Taoism. I didn't get your permission to use public resources to write my own letters. That would be stealing. This is someone who gets things well. Is so careful with just a piece of paper and an envelope. You can see the rest. So, it's about those little rules. We need to pay attention. We can't just think of this as a minor issue, with no consequences, like it's not that serious. We got it wrong. I got it wrong. I once mentioned this to all of you, classmates. Back when I was in high school, there was a principal named Mr. Jiguanda. Later he came to Taiwan. Well, in the past, he was the Minister of Education in mainland China. He is from Jiangxi. After the victory of the anti-Japanese war, he served as the Minister of Education of Jiangxi Province. In Taiwan, he worked in the examination department. The Parliamentary Secretary. The Parliamentary Secretary in China is the first Deputy Minister. The government provides him with a car. Uses public money, handles business, avoids wasting petrol. SISI goes out and accomplishes things. Why? I don't want to waste public gasoline. It's not being clear-headed about this country's finances. In this day and age, there are still officials like that. This is what we should learn. It's about the lay people, at home, reading scriptures every day. Understand the reasoning. Understand the truth of the matter. Hey, they've set an example for us to follow. A phone at home. The phone was installed by the government, not the company. They don't use the home phone. The kids at home aren't allowed to use the phone. They can all think about the country, you know. Borrowing for the country is good. We received an international call. Not a bit can be wasted. Anyway, today we got the phone, an international call. Can't you just get to the point? It's been ages. A few words could sort it out. You are chatting away. Stay clear. It's actually an important matter. A few words could sort it out. But as soon as you pick up the phone, you start chatting away, asking all sorts of questions. When it comes to phone bills, it's a regular payment, you know. Nice and easy. Everyone is unaware how serious this is. So I encourage everyone, at this time, there are some things we really need to know. To send messages, it's best to use a fax for everything. Being straightforward can save time. You got 5 minutes. You can send dozen sheets of paper. Those dozen sheets of paper you've written on are already quite substantial. That's good, isn't it? And if he didn't see the long march clearly at one time, he could still see it a second time. A phone call lasting half an hour isn't as effective as a 5-minute fax. You know, the cost of the phone and the fax is about the same. How much are you saving, eh? You don't realize the sins. In the future, being sent to Avachi hell will feel unjust. Yama will present all these matters, and you won't have a word to say. Yama, the king of hell, will present these matters to you directly, and you won't have a word to say. All that evidence is there. It's all a joke, and it's all in the scriptures. In fact, I just mentioned the important points, briefly. We need to understand material resources, all around the world. Being sinning unknowingly, enjoying nearly depleted blessings. Unknowingly, creating countless sins. Even though enjoying blessings, those blessings are nearly used up. The blessings have run out. And then the disaster struck. This disaster is mentioned in Buddhist teachings as the leopard, a sign of retribution in hell. The leopard is a sign of ancient treasures, isn't it? How can we not be alert? Why not in this lifetime? Just a few short decades of cold and heat. Grind your teeth. Learn from Shakyamuni Buddha. Live the simplest life. The simplest life. Guide spreading the teachings and benefiting others, helping the community. It's easy to lead everyone astray. Personal living needs are a must. Monastics penniless follow the path. If we as monastics have not a single cent on us, that's truly following the path. That's following the path. We need money for outings, so the community provides. And when I go out, I also need to borrow a bit of this borrowed life. When we come back, any extra can be returned to the community. We can do this. Are we certain we can attain everything from all the Buddhas? May the dragon and heavenly deities bless us. It's a bit of a mess today. When we act with a united mind and intention, if it's not in accordance with the teachings or the principles, it's not right to be honest. Buddhas, they don't protect or care. The dragon and heavenly deities look down on us. Who's around you? Demons and monsters, right. Demons and monsters take advantage of situation. So you often have sickness and suffering, and you rely on the teachings for support. You might not be aware of it. Aware. Those who aren't studying Buddhism really don't get it, but those who are studying do understand. What are we doing in this life, in this world? What's the deal with immunity? One seeks the path of the Buddha. To help sentient beings, there are two things. Seeking the path of the Buddha. You must definitely chant the Buddha's name. Seeking to be reborn in the Pure Land. This is Shankyu. In this lifetime, it's absolutely essential to get it done. Helping sentient beings means setting a good example for everyone. That joke you made was spot on. Today's world, mate. Greedy for wealth, fame, and profit. Let's make a clear example of how to handle wealth and benefit the people. That's nonsense. Don't say. No one needs to know right. If you're willing to do it, just one or two people knowing will make them anxious. They'll start telling others. Oh, which place has monks doing this practice? These monks are so pure in body and mind, living in great freedom, wisdom and fullness. This makes the world envious and inspires people to come and learn from you. Only then can you truly receive. The effects on beings on the ground. Where do world disasters come from? People in the world think. These bead words have nothing to do with us. So all these disasters are just blamed on natural calamities. It's all within what one can do, love. All the responsibility has been shrugged off. Only those who truly study Buddhism understand. The dependent and the ultimate realities are one and the same. One truth, not two. Especially the Avatamsaka Sutra. But this principle speaks to the truth of the matter. It's very thorough. Freebie. We're all in this together, working with a shared drive. Everything we do. Every little bit counts. So small, so insignificant. It all affects the pure void, and it must be revealed. One thought of goodness, even a single thought of evil, affects the vastness of the Dharma realm. So, the Buddha told us about the shared karma we all create. Statement. We listened and had no doubts at all. In ancient times. This is the emperor, including thinkers. The intellectuals of China. There's no one who doesn't read Buddhist texts. They really understand this principle. When faced with natural disasters, they seriously reflect, repent, and strive to make amends. to save the situation. They understand this principle. Even though some who study science don't acknowledge this fact. They think this is just illusion, just fantasy. It's not in line with science principle. They are superstitious about science. Science studies only a part of the entire universe and life. Buddhism talks about the whole. Sometimes a certain part over here can end up harming the whole. Only by looking at the overall picture of the past can we solve the problems. This is something we must not be unaware of. The Buddha often teaches us in the Mahayana scriptures sacredness, meaning the money we borrowed just won't do. This principle must be put into practice with both body and mind. Now, let's take a look at the following news about the Ksitigaba worship of the Holy Mother. If any sentient being commits such a sin, they will face many unending hells. Seeking battle is tough, and with just one thought, it can all slip away. The hell of incessant suffering. Well, Abhidharma sometimes mentions it in two ways, and at times combines them together. Ultimately, whether it's one or two is still up for debate. But we can see it as it's one thing. That place of slaughter at 6.6. Let's list the 5 major sins mentioned earlier. This decides the degree of suffering in the hell of incessant suffering. When parents and people commit such sins, such refers back to what was mentioned earlier. The 5 major categories. These 5 major categories are also severe consequences. After the consequences of hell come out. He also has predictions. Predictions are made when the devil is born. Not sure when that will be. Only then one attains human life. So life is quite tough, isn't it? What's the time like in the ghost realm? It's all quite long, this hell. Well, let's not dwell on that. The blessings of the ghost realm are like a golden mountain. A day in the ghost realm is like a month here in the human world. In the human world, we worship the spirits and gods on the 15th day of the month. Are we here to worship them? Worshipping them, inviting them for a meal, is just right. Their one day is about our 1 month, right? On the 15th, we invite him for lunch and dinner, so that's about 6 days for him. Ghost realm lifespan is 1,000 years. A year is 360 days, so it's long. In the ghost realm, a year is 360 days. According to this calculation, the lifespan in the ghost realm is indeed very, very long. In the past, Zhong Taiyang served as the judge for the Eastern Emperor. He goes to work every day in the ghost realm, you know. He even sees the customs from the Han Dynasty. He's quite the scholar. From the Han Dynasty to the Sui and Tang dynasties. He's met him before. The ghost realm. So we all need to understand this kind of situation. Some are born with a very short lifespan, but they come into the world in ignorance. He's very fixated on his form. So it's really hard to break free from birth. Shakyamuni, Buddha, tells us in the scriptures. He didn't have many past lives either. I lived here for a while, giving teachings and lectures. For 7 years, there were some projects going on, building houses. There's a nest of ants underground. The Buddha looked at this and smiled. So the disciples saw the Buddha and wondered why he was laughing at the ants, and the Buddha explained to that one ant. After the Buddha passed away, he was still the ant god. It's not that his lifespan is that long. He's so attached to that form that even after he dies, he's reborn as an ant, living life after life as an ant, not knowing how to deal with it. Being born into ignorance like this. It's only by understanding the true facts that we realize how terrifying the three evil paths are. How do we go about business then? Creating stone beds for work. Breaking precepts, creating food-related karma leads to the three evil paths. Of course, the scriptures below. Lady Maya. Worship Kirigaba Bodhisattva as well. What is meant by Avsai hell? This is Lady Raya. Listening to Kirigaba Bodhisattva talk about Avsai hell is really serious. Being trapped in Avsai hell for countless eons, seeking to escape with no end in sight. That's just terrifying. So what exactly is Avsai hell? Lady Committee, please pray for us. Depths of earth, kid. There are hells located within the Great Iron Encirclement Mountain. In that vast area, there are 18 places, what we often refer to as the 18 levels of hell. It's worth it for each other. The 18 levels of hell, the 10 great hells. It's the 4 realms and 5 origins. The name has many variations, with thousands of names that differ from one another. What about the policies? When we're in the world, there are thousands of kinds of karma by actions. So, falling into hell and suffering there can vary in severity. This. Old Li Bing taught us in the past. He mentioned the hells described in Buddhist scriptures. There are 70 cases. The manager in town mentioned briefly. It's over 70 miles. Over 70 miles. When we think about it, of course, it still comes back to where it all leads. There are just so many kinds. There's no way to calculate it. The Buddha is good at using the method of induction. The little 3 islands are categorized into 108 major types by the boundless Buddha. So, the method of induction. From this area of over 70, it's also a method of induction. The most painful. It's just the unending suffering. Golden Mountain. All the actions created by sentient beings are governed by cause and effect. Sure, it won't go to waste. Good intentions and good deeds will definitely lead to good outcomes. What about wickedness and evil deeds? They will definitely lead to realization. As long as you create sinful actions, there will definitely be hostility. The region is a place of suffering. We look at the scriptures underground, where Kitigaba Bodhisattva speaks, the insatiable desires. To achieve this, the hell. Outside there are city walls that are stronger than the written word. The written wall is like a city wall, fighting 80,000 miles. 7 groups standing a height of 10,000 miles. The minister is stationed at Tiger's Roost with few vacancies. In the city of the 7 realms, there resides the jade appearance, with each name being distinct. There's a unique realm called the Insatiable. So, going through the things mentioned in the experience. This fixed day. The magnitude is hard to imagine. There. Because our Earth is still so vast. Our Earth is this big. And the height of this city wall is 10,000 miles high. Our current planes can't fly that high. When we take the biggest planes now, you all often travel on the 747, right? It can fly up to the stratosphere, and when it does, that's about 30,000 feet. 30,000 feet is roughly, this is over 10,000 meters. And now, when we talk about it, it's just about 10 kilometers. That's over 10,000 meters. So now, when we talk about it, it's just 10 kilometers, really. This height is 10 kilometer, 10 k miles a year. I'm afraid it's from Earth to the Moon. The Buddha speaks these words in the sutras. We need to believe. The Diamond Sutra tells me the Tathagata is the truth, and the truth is the ultimate reality, which is beyond existence. It's exactly as it is, without a hint of exaggeration. What about 40? The Buddha said it this way. Neither increasing nor decreasing. Is that what we call suchness? Regarding the changes made, the underlining represents the karmic manifestations of beings who create negative karma. If there weren't people creating such heavy negative karma, hell, the central planes are right in front of you. You can't see it either, can you? Just like the layman Zhong Taiyang. He asked the Eastern Peak Emperor to abolish the punishment of cannon dropping. Cannon dropping is a type of punishment in hell. But what we're discussing now is that this kind of punishment is inhumane. From a humanitarian standpoint, let him die if he has to. Don't make him suffer so much, yeah? Don't torture him, mate. The ghost led him. Karma rules. He finally fully realized what the sutras say about this practice. The law isn't set by King Yama. It's his own karma manifesting, and there's no way around that. It's not chosen by others. If it's chosen by others based on humanitarian grounds, then of course it can be pardoned. It's the manifestation of one's own karma. I can't do it. The phenomenon in hell is, I see your fire. I see your fire. We need to believe this.